What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the other day I was scrolling through the Reddit page for XDefiant, and I saw a couple of posts put up by an individual that I absolutely loved. And to me personally, it showcases why I believe XDefiant is always going to thrive. Now, of course, that doesn't mean XDefiant's going to blow up and outbeat every AAA project, out there. But there is always, and when I say always, I mean there is literally always going to be a bunch of people who enjoy the game and are excited for the future of this title. And that will probably grow and grow and grow as time goes on. But ladies and gentlemen, before we go ahead and dive deep, if you guys are interested in more content just like this, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. We post daily here at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. And of course, don't forget as well, we are going to be live streaming today, although it is Thanksgiving. So obviously later in the day, I'm going to be leaving the house, so it's not going to be as long of a stream. But if you guys are still interested, you want to hang out with me before you guys probably head out to your family as well, by all means, I have a link to my Twitch channel down in the description of this video. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see right here from Sean and Nathan over on the XDefiant subreddit page, saying Ubisoft IPs from their cat. Now, he has a couple of posts here, but I'm going to show the first post. Look at all the games that Ubisoft has worked on. Now, I will say, in this image here, there are a handful of, IPs that aren't technically Ubisoft IPs. Now, yes, they might have had people work on some of these games, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they own it. Like, Star Wars, for example. Although it would be really cool to see Star Wars up in XDefiant, the chances of that actually being introduced into XDefiant, or Ubisoft going through the hoops to introduce that into XDefiant, basically non-existent. But regardless, you can look past a lot of that stuff and still see the mass majority of games that can be introduced into the XDefiant cycle here. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, is one of XDefiant's biggest selling factors. But funny enough, nobody ever acknowledges this. Whenever I hear people discuss XDefiant, it's, oh, well, the only selling factor it has is no skill-based matchmaking. That's the only thing XDefiant has going for it. When in reality, that is the smallest thing it has going for it. Yes, it's beneficial. Yes, it makes the FPS, the 6v6 experience phenomenal, right? I think we can all agree with that. We don't want skill-based matchmaking whatsoever, so I shouldn't say it's the smallest thing, but it is most definitely not the selling factor. Well, not even a selling factor because it's a free-to-play freaking game, but the downloading factor, because obviously at the end of the day, even though it's free-to-play, that doesn't mean people are going to waste their time downloading it, right? They still have to go through, the effort and, they want to put time into the game and play it. No skill-based matchmaking, as good as it is not the biggest reason that people are going to be pouring in to XDefiant, years down the road. To me personally, the fact that they have so many IPs under the belt is what is going to be their biggest download factor, or their biggest, reason for people to come and give this game a go. Now, again, like I said earlier, it's not enough to really bring people away from other very popular games, right? But it is indeed enough, in my opinion, to get people hooked kind of to the experience, get people invested into seeing what else is coming into the experience, and people who are fans of these other Ubisoft titles are going to want to revisit this game just to see how they play out in an FPS scene. Because funny enough, a lot of these games aren't FPS games, like The Crew, for example, which was indeed in the leaked information a while ago. If you guys remember my videos from back in the day when XDefiant first came out and a lot of leaks were coming out, Year 2 is planned to have The Crew and Rabbids, okay? So these games might not be FPS games, but XDefiant is a fun, quirky game, okay? XDefiant from day one has never taken themselves serious. It's not like Battlefield or COD, where, they present their game as a military-style game, although COD kind of crumbles as the year goes on. I mean, look at Black Ops 6 right now, we're a month in, and we have some of the most wild skins in the game. But again, I try not to go too ham on it because I try to focus strictly on the gameplay. But the point being made here is these games, from the ground up, they want to have a military vibe. XDefiant, on the other hand, never wanted that military vibe, to the point where people were pissed that they were going to include the Tom Clancy name within XDefiant. If you guys remember, day one, it was supposed to be Tom Clancy's XDefiant, a Ubisoft, original. But they stripped the Tom Clancy name out of XDefiant because, let's be real here. When we think of Tom Clancy, we think of more actual, I don't want to say realistic, but you know what I'm saying. When you hear Tom Clancy, you're not going to pair it up with XDefiant in any way, shape, or form. It's one of the main reasons why they had to strip the name, because their audience was not happy with that. But it's the truth. XDefiant is the furthest thing from a realistic style shooter. Funny enough, when they were first advertising this game, they were advertising it as a punk rock style shooter, you know? So it's always been the furthest thing from one, but the thing that XDefiant does so well, and you have to give the devs props for this because they did a solid job, they still incorporated, you know, those military vibes, right? Like, you could tell that, and indeed, like, if they had the Tom Clancy name on it still, with some of the factions in the game and, you know, all that stuff, it could fit partially, but it's not overwhelming. You know, they know how to be goofy and fun with the game while still incorporating serious stuff within it, and it kind of melds together nicely. They did a really good job. But that is the benefit that this game has going for it. They can introduce anything they possibly want, because the devs never set a boundary for themselves, right? A lot of these other games, they set boundaries. They say, oh, this is going to be realistic, and from the trailers, like, you know, they want to make it look like it's a real war almost. And no, this game, from day one, they knew what they wanted to be, and they pushed for it. And honestly, that is going to be the key to their success, because they can incorporate everything they could possibly imagine. Like I said, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry games, right? The Division. We have Rainbow Six Siege in the game right now. Rabbids, The Crew. I even saw Uno in that list, and I know that's a weird one, but you know, who knows? They could definitely incorporate something into this game that has Uno. You know, Just Dance. A lot of these things sound extraordinarily corny, but the theme of this game was never realistic to begin with. So introducing stuff like this is not far-fetched, not even in the slightest, as long as they could do it correctly. And from how the developers have been implementing these factions into the game, I definitely believe they can get it handled. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to go ahead and showcase one last image here from the user Sean that I showcased from you guys earlier. He posted 2 images over on Reddit, but this one is a little bit more grounded, because this is what we're going to be, you know, realistically seeing throughout the lifespan of XDefiant, although I do anticipate some more corny and quirky factions, like I said, you know, the Crew and stuff, but this is what it's going to realistically look like. Because we've already learned from a lot of leaks, and these leakers have been pretty reliable, that the development teams are focusing on bringing in multiple different versions of each and every game. So although we've already done, you know, a little bit of Rainbow Six Siege, that doesn't mean they might not focus, you know, another group in Rainbow Six Siege. Or just because we did Far Cry already with the Highwaymen, doesn't mean we can't get other Far Cry stuff. I mean, look at this list here, like Primal, Outcast, you know, all this different type of stuff from all their different IPs. There's a lot of different factions, you know, spread throughout those different IPs. You know, the Division, there's so many. Assassin's Creed, there's a lot of different factions in Assassin's Creed, which also was in the leaks. That's what I'm really excited for. Don't get me wrong, I'm pumped to see some of the corny stuff, but what I'm really excited for is to see what type of ideas they can bring from these games. And just because we see one idea from this game doesn't mean that we won't see others, like the ADS system from Rainbow Six Siege. Who's to say we won't see anything else that's introduced from Rainbow Six Siege and use it as an alt or, you know, a side ability? Or Far Cry with the saw launcher, you know, or a sentry gun. Who's to say that we're not going to get, you know, like the Primal faction, and, you know, we're starting to throw spears and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, who's to say any of these things aren't possible? I am so freaking excited for this game to expand and for the years to go by and to see where it finally stands. Because that's what it's all about. Again, people keep rushing XDefiant and saying it's going to die. Like, I don't think people understand how stupid that sounds, especially from a team like Ubisoft. Yes, we all talk our smack about Ubisoft, but do you guys really think they're that stupid that they would go into, into discussion about XDefiant, say they want to make something that competes with COD, knowing that COD cannot be taken or dethroned whatsoever, but they still want to make competition that's going to be a free-to-play game? You really think they're that stupid, to have a mindset that this game is going to last 3-4 years and then dump a fat budget on it? No, it's the main reason why they have such a crappy engine that they've run. Well, it's not a crappy engine, but it's not made for FPS games. Again, there's reasons the developers have to work extra hard Don't you think that if they wanted to make a true competitor to COD, and they really wanted to, test their luck, they would have just went with an all-out budget and, save the developers time, But no, the developers have to do a lot of work. They have to polish off a lot of things with the netcode and the engine. It's a never-ending process because they chose to go for the long run here. They chose to go on the long run. So I'm excited. I really am excited to see, all the time down the road where this game will settle. And the XDefiant community has been saying this for a long time now, but it's the truth. This is truly the Super Smash Bros. Of FPS games. Like, we already have Super Smash and, what's the other game? I played it a little bit back and, oh man, it has like Adventure Time and all those other games in it. Multiverses, that's the name of the game right there, Multiverses. But we have a bunch of fighting games. We already have tons of fighting games where they combine a bunch of IPs. Why not an FPS game, right? And it just seems so weird that nobody has ever tested that out. We see fighting game after fighting game where they try to combine all these different, IPs together into one fighting experience. Why not have an FPS experience where you have other IPs that are like, The Division and, Far Cry and other Tom Clancy games like Ghost Recon, the Phantom, all that type of stuff. Why not dive into that stuff and then combine them all together into one mashup? That concept alone, in my opinion, is going to be one of the biggest factors of XDefiant. And although all people say is, the only thing that XDefiant has going for it is no skill-based matchmaking, I guarantee a year down the road, that whole opinion is going to change. Nobody's going to be looking at XDefiant as the game that is, it just allows you to have a casual experience. No, people are going to look at XDefiant and look at it as the game that gives you, like I just said, the Smash Bros. Experience in the FPS universe, clashing all of your favorite IPs together and just duking it out and having a good time with it. But ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a dislike. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. We post daily here at 8 in the morning Eastern Time. And of course, if you guys are interested in my live streams, I'll be live today, probably around 12 p.m. Eastern Time. If you guys are interested, you can hop into the stream. I got a link to my Twitch channel down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all on the next one. Peace out.